Hello, this is Rocky Mountain Edibles. Thanks for joining me. I have a really interesting challenge for myself. I am in a part of the high desert that I've never been to before. In fact, I haven't even been within about 75 miles of here. My whole goal is to see if I can survive on only the wild edible plants that I find. Before I do that, I have a number of other concerns I need to address first. For example, I need to find a water source. I have a water bottle with a limited supply of water, but that's not even going to come close to get me through the day. I also need to find some sort of shelter or make some sort of shelter to keep me warm for the night. It does get fairly cold here in the springtime in the high desert. Only after all those needs are taken care of will I start thinking about food. So stick with me. Let's see if I can make this happen. I know what plants I'm hoping and expecting to find out here, but as I mentioned, I've never been here before, so this is going to be an interesting challenge. I may not find anything I'm looking for. Let's see how I do. As I've been searching for water, I came across this juniper. A little bit later on, I'm going to need something to use as a digging stick so that when I can start digging up some roots, I can actually have a tool ready at hand. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest this now. I next need to cut this to the right length. Before I do that though, I'm actually going to remove some of these little branches and everything so they aren't in the way. So I have a section of the sapling that's about 2.5 or 3 feet long. This is about the right length that I need. The indigenous groups that would harvest agave usually used a stick about this long and this diameter. They would bevel one end and use that beveled end to help remove the agave heart from the agave roots. So that's actually what I'm going to do here. I don't actually have a mallet to use right now on my knife. I probably need to get one of those, find one of those soon. It would make doing this a lot faster and easier. I had a lot of hopes of what kind of plants I would be able to find out here on this survival trip to use as my food source, and so far I haven't had any luck. Now, I haven't really actively been searching directly for those edible plants. I've actually been looking more for my water source and also a place for my shelter. But if edible plants don't start turning up soon, especially after I start actively searching for them, I'm going to be going hungry this trip. And I don't know about you, but I prefer to eat some food. So after much searching, I finally came upon some water. You'll notice there isn't a whole lot here. This is actually just a spring that is coming out of the ground in this hillside over here. And I'm really excited to find it. What I'm going to have to do is dig out this pool a little bit deeper, just so it will accumulate more water, and then I can more easily collect it. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, this is great. So right here, not too far from where I was just digging that hole to deepen the pool of water, I actually came across some yarrow. I'm really excited about this. I really enjoy making a tea out of these leaves. I'm going to harvest some of them right now so that I can enjoy tea a little bit later. This should make a really great tea later today. Finding the right place for a shelter can be a challenging task. When you are in a survival situation, as much as possible, it's a good idea to take advantage of what nature provides, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to make a sleeping bag, a survival sleeping bag. I'm going to use this log as part of what I need to frame that sleeping bag, and then I'm going to collect a few more materials. So I'm trying to collect as much of this forest duff, these pine needles, as possible to use as my sleeping bag. This is going to serve both as my mattress and as my sleeping bag. And just kind of roll it back like this into big piles, and then I can take those piles either by the armload
Or I could use my shirt, take off my shirt and use my shirt to carry the pine needles to where I want to make the sleeping bag. So what I want to do now is kind of create a bed frame just to help to contain all the pine needle duff. One of the reasons for this wood frame is it not only contains the pine needle duff, but it helps to block a little bit of the wind, especially on this side with this big log. So I just need to fill in this whole area with pine needle duff, and I need a good layer underneath me and a good layer above me. So I'm going to start filling this in with pine needle duff. So I'm getting this pine needle duff in here. I want to kind of stomp on it a little bit to get it packed down, because it's going to do that over the course of the night anyway. I try to remove as many of the large sticks and pine cones as possible, but some are inevitable. So after about 200,000 more loads, I think I'll be done. So I'm done with the mattress part of it. Now I'm just going to grab a few more loads to pull up over top of me to keep me warm. I want to be sealed all the way around so that I can minimize heat loss and also reduce the chance of convective heat loss. Yeah, it's about time for bed. You know, I thought ahead a little bit and I put some bark up where my head would be for a pillow, and then I put pine duff up on top of the bark. So that should really actually keep me a lot more comfortable. I've been going non-stop all day. I'm kind of tired. I'm looking forward to going to bed. When I'm ready to go to bed, I'll pull this pine duff up over the top of me just to kind of seal me off from the night air. So I think it'll be a really comfortable night, and I think I'll stay very warm. This is a really comfortable bed. A couple hours ago I saw a huge centipede. Man, it was massive. As far as scorpions are concerned, I've heard it's important to get up off the ground. And I've heard it said that centipedes do not make good bedfellows, and I'm inclined to agree. For scorpions and centipedes, it's important to get up off the ground, so hopefully I'll be alright. But one thing I will tell you is, anytime you are doing a natural shelter, even such as this one, you better be alright having things crawl over you. Like, I've had ants and spiders crawling on me. That's just something you have to get used to. But I draw the line at ants and spiders. I do not want to be sharing this bed with scorpions and centipedes. Well, as you can tell, I'm back here at the spring. The pool I enlarged is actually very clear now. There's a little bit of forest debris floating on the surface, but I'm not too worried about that because I can avoid that. It's usually a good idea to carry metal water containers and cups with you so that you can use them over the fire if you need to. And in particular, in this case, this cup is just the right size. I usually like to carry a small cup for a variety of reasons, but this is just one of the many benefits. And metal just makes it all the better. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get some of this water here. A little bit of forest debris. Wow, that's absolutely excellent. It has a great flavor. The water's nice and cool. I'm not really worried about this source of water. This is a spring that's coming directly out of the ground right here, and it doesn't look like there's any concerning animal activity that's occurred here to indicate that they've defecated or urinated in the water. Cheers. Wish you could try some. I'm gonna go ahead and fill up my water bottle with this spring water so that I can move on, have a water supply, and be able to look for plants and do some other things. Oh yeah, awesome. So I have an agave here. I'm really excited about this. This is a wonderful plant. It's a delicious wild edible. I'm really excited about including this in my meal tonight. Specifically, I'm going to harvest this flower stalk. After I get this flower stalk, I'm going to look around and see if there's any smaller agaves that I can use for the hearts and do a pit roast with them. And that would be an amazing and bountiful foraging harvest. So I'm going to want to take my knife and cut through some of these leaves to get to the flower stalk, and I'm going to be able to get a delightful and amazing treat here. So here's the flower stalk. This actually is a cross section of it. This flower stem is filled with a lot of complex sugars that require cooking to convert it to more digestible forms. So I will certainly be looking forward to this delicious edible treat. Ah, wonderful. From a distance, while I was going after the agave flower stalk, I thought I saw a few more of these agaves over here. I'm going to harvest a couple of these smaller ones. There's actually several in this area. I'm going to leave this big one alone, but I'm really excited. This is shaping up to be a really amazing opportunity here. To harvest agave the traditional way, you want to take a stick of about this length. It's about maybe 30 inches and maybe a couple inches in diameter. You want to bevel both sides, place the bevel up against the base of the agave, and use a rock to try to separate the agave heart and leaves from their roots. There we go. Awesome. Of course, prickly pear are edible in their own right. I'm going to be harvesting these to help me do the agave pit roasting. You really need the moisture from the prickly pear to help keep the agave hearts from drying out. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and harvest these. This stick that I had cut for using as an agave heart digging stick and for digging up edible plants as well, I'm going to use that to kind of bend the pads over a little bit just so I can avoid the spines and cut those with my knife and use those a little bit later for roasting the agave. The next thing I want to do is cut off all the leaves of this agave. You really don't eat those. You want to just leave the agave heart. You want to be careful not to get those thorns that run along the margins of the leaves on you, because those hurt. I'm thrilled that I was able to harvest some agave, but now a lot of work begins. I have to dig out a pit right now so that I can pit roast these agave hearts. All those complex sugars that are in the agave heart are indigestible, and so I'm using the traditional way of preparing these agave hearts by doing a pit roast. If you're interested in finding out about another way to prepare agave heart, you can take a look at this other YouTube that I'll link here. I finished with the pit. Now I need to find some wood for pit roasting. So traditionally oak was used. I have some oak right back here behind me. I am getting rocks and throwing them on the fire. This helps to create thermal mass. This helps to maintain the heat for many hours, because these agave hearts have to roast many, many long hours. Now that the fire's burned down to coals and these rocks are really hot, I need to throw on some green vegetation to kind of give a steaming effect, otherwise the agave hearts dry out. And so that's what the prickly pear are for. This is what was traditionally used when available. And again, the moisture in these pads will actually provide the needed moisture that the agave needs in order to cook right. So next I need to put the agave hearts on. I'm going to be covering all of this with dirt. Before I do that though, I need to find something to go between the agave hearts and the dirt so that the dirt doesn't get in all through the edible part of this food. And then next I need to put some dirt on top of this. Now that I've got this covered with dirt, I'm going to let it sit for many hours. I would say it needs at least 18 to 24 hours based off of the size of the agave hearts. Agave hearts that are much bigger, sometimes it takes 1 or 2 days of pit roasting. As I'm looking around, I'm noticing some spots where a little bit of smoke is escaping, so I'm going to put some more dirt where I see that, because you want to try to seal off all the heat as much as possible. They're tasting really good.